The Times of Physics.
Welcome students to the channel The Times of Physics. After zeroth law of thermodynamics, in today's session, we are going to discuss the various thermodynamic processes and the first law of thermodynamics. So I begin with the term state function. Students, state function is any property of the system which depends only on the current state of the system and it does not depend of the path by which the system has attained that state. स्टेट फंक्शन किसी भी सिस्टम की वो प्रॉपर्टी है जो उसकी प्रेजेंट स्टेट के ऊपर डिपेंड करती है और इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि सिस्टम ने वो स्टेट किस पाथ के थ्रू अटेन की है. It will be clear by taking this example. See here, this person is standing on a roof, so obviously it carries some fixed value of potential energy. So this potential energy of the person now does not depend whether the person has reached here using stairs or using lift or whatever mode. So the potential energy now is a state function. In a similar way, pressure, volume, temperature and the internal energy of the system, these quantities, these variables, in the last lecture these four variables were defined as the macroscopic state variables. So these four state variables are also the state functions. They depend only on the present state of the system, and the path through which the system has reached that state is quite immaterial. Next, let us define what is a process when we talk of thermodynamic systems. Any system, when changes its state by whatever changes, whatever means of changes, then we say that a process occurred. See here, this is a plot along y-axis pressure P has been plotted, while along x-axis volume V has been plotted. System was initially at this point. Through change of pressure and change of volume, see, system has reached this state, and on reaching this state, you see pressure has been decreased by a certain amount and volume has increased by a certain amount. So this one is a thermodynamical process. And similarly 2, 3 and 4. In every process, from where the system starts and the position where it ends, these first and last states of the process are called the initial state and the final state. Now, every thermodynamical process occurs when there are possibilities of heat exchanges of the system with the surroundings, or when there are work done by the system. This work done may be due to change in surroundings conditions or may be due to the internal changes within the system. Due to these reasons, system undergoes from one thermodynamical equilibrium condition to another, and this move is termed as the thermodynamical process. Now these thermodynamic processes are of various kinds. Let us begin and discuss them one by one. First is isothermal process. Students, the term iso means same, constant. So isothermal process are those processes in which temperature of the system remains constant throughout the process. It means that heat exchange by the system with the surroundings will be allowed in these processes in order to make temperature constant. For example, refrigerator maintains the temperature within it. Next, adiabatic process. Adiabatic process are those processes in which heat exchange between system and surroundings are not permitted. Mean, if there is no heat exchange, mean the system can be termed as insulated. Obviously, an insulator doesn't allow heat to pass through it. For example, if you allow a gas in a container to expand, then gas cools down. It cools down in order to avoid the heat exchange from the surroundings. And in the similar way, if you compress the gas, mean if you decrease the volume of this gas within the container, then due to changes in the internal energy, overall the gas system gains heat energy and gets warmer. This is the adiabatic process. In these processes, no heat were exchanged with the surroundings. Isobaric process. Isobaric process are those processes in which the pressure of the system throughout the process remains constant. For example, the boiling of water. When water boils, then it converts into steam, but the pressure of the system remains constant. The freezing of water into ice. When water freezes down and converts to ice, then too the pressure remains constant during this conversion. In both these processes, the system either expanded or contracted down, but this phenomena was to maintain the constant pressure, and therefore there is certain amount of work which is done by the system or on the system just to in order to maintain the overall pressure of the system. Isochoric processes. Isochoric processes are those processes in which the volume of the system remains constant. For example, the air conditioner, which works at constant volume of the system. Now, cyclic process. Cyclic process are those processes in which the system carries out a series of changes, a series of processes, different processes, but at final point it returns to its initial state. For example, in this diagram, system started from this position and undergoes four processes through various changes in pressure and volume, but finally attains its first or the initial states. So this is the cyclic process. Next, reversible process. Reversible process, as the name suggests, is the one which can be reversed back. But this process should be carried out infinitesimally slow enough that every process that you carry out in the forward direction then can be reversed. But practically, this is not possible. In this kind of processes, system and surroundings always remain in the equilibrium state, always. But as this is an ideal case, so it can never be realized in real practice. Next, irreversible process. Irreversible process are the ones which cannot be returned back into its initial state. All the changes which will be carried out will happen so rapidly that in nutshell system will definitely move from its equilibrium state. The forward force which is carrying out the change within the system will be the greater than the backward force that the system will finally goes towards the forward direction. So reversing of the changes are not possible and the whole process will be irreversible in nature. For example, if you slide a book over a table, अगर आप किसी बुक को टेबल के ऊपर स्लाइड करते हैं तो आपकी मैकेनिकल एनर्जी बुक को पुश करने में यूज होती है, बट पैरेलली एक हीट जनरेट होती है just because of friction of the table between just because of friction between the book and the table. But that heat cannot be again converted back into your mechanical energy. So this process is an example of irreversible process. Now spontaneous process. Spontaneous process mean which can be driven by themselves or by some initiation. For example, for the processes that occur by themselves. Evaporation of water in an open system. If you take an open system, if you take a container with water in it, so slowly with the passage of time, the water gets evaporated into the surroundings. So this occurs by itself. So this is a spontaneous process. Next, if you put salt into water, then after some time you will notice that the salt has been dissolved in the water and it can take place by itself. Yes, you can also catalyze this process. आप इस process का reaction rate बढ़ा सकते हो, आप इसको speed up कर सकते हो, moving a spoon into it. Next, fall of water down a hill. When water falls down a hill, then this process can take place by itself. Next are the examples which are processes that occurs after a small initiation. That is the combination of oxygen and hydrogen. When you make to join them together, they form water. Lighting of a candle. Obviously, if you want the candle to be ignited, then you have to initiate this process. You have to first ignite it by a matchstick. Next, non-spontaneous process means these are the processes that either by themselves or by initiation they cannot occur, they cannot take place. For example, you cannot transfer heat from a cold body to hot body. You cannot dissolve sand into water. You cannot make water to flow up a hill. Now let us see what is first law of thermodynamics. Students, first law of thermodynamics means that the energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Yes, it can be converted from one form into another. And for the same reason, the total energy of this universe, which exists in many forms, but the total of all these forms of energy is a constant and it remains constant. Yes, it can undergo various transformations from one form into another. And for the same reason, an isolated system which does not allow the heat to pass through it, or there is no heat exchange between the isolated system and its surroundings, so the energy of this system always remains constant. All these 3 points represents nothing but the energy conservation law, and this is very closely associated with the first law of thermodynamics. Let us illustrate this with an example. Consider a container which is having gas into it, and the container has non-conducting walls and has a piston on its top. Just like this pressure cooker, is of course having conducting walls, but just for illustration I'm taking this. So we have assumed that the walls are non-conducting, but only the bottom wall of this container can conduct. This is conducting wall, and obviously heat can be transferred only from the bottom. So for the heat to be transferred, I take a burner with flame and put this container with gas on this flame, then what happens? Heat starts transferring into the gas. And when a small heat amount, let us say delta Q, it is absorbed by the gas, then the pressure of the gas inside this container increases. And this heat energy, which is absorbed through this flame, it can be used by the gas in two ways. One, the temperature of the gas will increase, and obviously this increase in temperature will increase the internal energy of the system. I believe that you understand the term internal energy as we had discussed in the last lecture. Internal energy is the energy which is associated with all kinds of system and is due to the atoms and molecules present in any system. It is denoted by majorly by U, and it is dependent on the various parameters like temperature, pressure, or the chemical nature. Why chemical nature? Because due to it is all due to the atoms molecules inside the substance. So the absorbed heat energy by the flame can be used to increase the internal energy of the gas system. Next, after certain increase in pressure, it can also push the piston. It means it can do some work. The substance on gaining energy can do some work and can push this piston outward. It means it is doing some work in the expansion of the gas, and this work is now done against the external pressure which is over the piston. So these are the two ways in which the heat energy can be used. So if delta Q is the total energy absorbed by the system, so first it carried out the change in the internal energy. Next, certain work is also done by using this heat. So delta Q must be sum of the change in internal energy, क्योंकि चेंज किस लिए आया? चेंज इस हीट को एब्जॉर्ब करने के बाद आया, तो जो चेंज हुआ इंटरनल एनर्जी में वो भी डेल्टा क्यू की वजह से हुआ, और जो वर्क डन हुआ, जो प्रेशर अंदर क्रिएट हुआ जिसकी वजह से पिस्टन को ऊपर की तरफ पुश लग रही है, वो किसकी वजह से हुआ? वो भी डेल्टा क्यू की वजह से हुआ. तो डेल्टा क्यू will be the sum of these two quantities. So we can say that if some amount of heat is given to a system, then this amount of heat will be equal to the increase in internal energy and the work done by the system. अगर हम कुछ हीट एनर्जी सिस्टम को देते हैं, किसी भी सिस्टम को देते हैं, वो हीट एनर्जी हमेशा इंटरनल एनर्जी के इंक्रीज करने में और वर्क डन जो भी सिस्टम ने किया उन दोनों के सम के बराबर होता है. And this statement is nothing but the first law of thermodynamics. If I write it in differential form, then it is equal to dq, which is the amount of heat energy. It becomes the sum of change in internal energy and the work done by the system. So now you have come to know that first law of thermodynamics is nothing but the law of conservation of energy. Now this is time to importantly understand the sign conventions for the heat and the work done. Q may be positive, Q may be negative, and similarly W may be positive and W may be negative. Now you have to understand when Q and W be positive and when these both quantities be negative. Student, this is quite simple to grasp. These both quantities are related to the internal energy change, and accordingly the signs will vary. You see, when you supply energy into the system, it may be work done on the system, or it may be transferred in the form of heat. Mean when energy enters into the system, then W or Q will be positive. On the contrary, when heat is released by the system, then Q is negative. And if work is done by the system, then W is negative. You simply take it that if energy enters the system, then you have to use sign plus, and if energy leaves the system, then you use sign minus. So this was the first law of thermodynamics, which has certain limitations too. So you have now understood that first law of thermodynamics is the energy conservation law. It tells us that how the heat absorbed is equal to the sum of work done and the change in internal energy. So parallelly, it tells us that work done and heat produced are in nutshell equivalent. But there are certain points which lacks information in the first law of thermodynamics description. What are those points? This law doesn't give any information about the amount of heat energy, the quantum of heat energy which changes to work. Means if dq is equal to du plus dw, then this is uninformed, unclear here that which what amount of heat energy has been converted into work and what amount of heat energy has been used to change the internal energy part. Next, this law permits heat flow in any direction. Mean whether heat is flowing from hot body to cold body or the cold body to hot body, this law doesn't give any clearance about this point. But practically we know heat can only flow from hot to cold body. But this law doesn't indicate the direction of heat flow. So this is also a lack of first law of thermodynamics. So students, this was all about the first law of thermodynamics. I really hope that you have now understood it completely. So in the next lecture, we will talk about the second law of thermodynamics. Till then, enjoy learning. Thank you.